She was supposed to be my friend. I can't believe my eyes seeing them like that with Natalie. How could Johnny do that to me? Stark naked with her, brazen, loving it. Well, you know what? I have a plan to get revenge.
Hello everyone, I'm Generation 3DX, a Daz Studio artist. This week we're going to be looking at something really different and something that a lot of you have been asking about, and that is, how have I been doing these animations that you've been seeing on the YouTube channel videos and also on my DeviantArt page? Well, the answer is AI, basically. Now, I know a lot of you have some reservations about AI in the Daz space. Certainly the explosion of AI art has been an interesting and often criticized experience for the fact that people can just type stuff in and then it can create art and it all looks the same. Well, that might have been the case early on, and certainly when it comes to text to image AI, you've certainly seen a profusion of that. What I'm going to talk about in this video is not that kind of AI. It's image to video generation. Okay, so you are taking your Daz Studio images, which you've lovingly crafted and you've honed your skills over many years in the case of some of you, and you want to bring those characters to life in video, because you know the stills are all very good and everything, but you know ultimately they are a static image and they have a certain limitation in terms of the immersion that you want to kind of bring to the viewer into your universe of characters. So how do you animate your Daz characters? Well, okay, before AI, image to video, you were stuck with this choice of doing it the hard way or doing it the hard way. Let's face it, any of you who've tried to do animation with Daz Studio's inbuilt Animate tool have quickly discovered it's just a nightmare. It's very, very difficult to navigate your way through all the different keyframes and the poses, and it just misbehaves half the time. If you're even more masochistic, you could even try Blender and animating in Blender. My experiences of Blender have not been very good. I find it's a very counterintuitive. If you're used to the Daz Studio kind of space, and perhaps even Adobe products like Photoshop are just like Blender, I just could never get the kind of hang of what was going on with it. But there have been many animators that have been plugging away for many years, creating animations using Daz, mostly Blender. I think Blender seems to be the most prevalent one for doing handcrafted animations. It is very difficult work. It's very highly skilled. It takes a lot of experience and trial and error and pulling your hair out to do it. I only got so far with it and I just said it's not going to work for me, so I just gave up. So for about a year or so I didn't really do any animating at all until I discovered some image to video tools online that you could actually just pay for and use. Okay, so we're going to talk about those before we get on to your local installations of image to video, which we're going to end with. Yeah, so you have two options now. As a Daz Studio artist, when you want to animate your figures with AI using a source image that you've created in Daz, there are two basic approaches. You have the online method of just going onto one of these big websites like Kling or Freepik or so on, and you just pay for some monthly credits and a subscription, and then you can just type in a prompt and instantly create a video. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute in terms of detail on how to do that. It's very simple. Your second option is to, and the one I ended up going with in the end, is to roll your own, and that is to do a local installation either on your PC or using a distributed computing platform such as RunPod, but you are in full control and you can create your own animations on your own dime and not have to pay anything apart from electricity bills and possibly some subscription costs to your distributed platform. Okay, the benefits of rolling your own versus having to use one of the main sites is firstly that there are no restrictions. Okay, if you go to Kling AI or one of the other online things, if you try to do something naughty, it will basically block you. So you are restricted to family friendly topics on these websites. Whereas if you do your own stuff, well, off you go. The sky's the limit, and your imagination, whether it's in the sky, whether it's in the gutter, can create whatever you want. Okay, so those are the main pros and cons of it. Well, I say the biggest con about rolling up your own installation and creating your own is the runway is huge in terms of having to figure out how to get it all set up. Okay, I think I lost about 3 weekends in total before I actually finally got a stable diffusion based installation set up and running. And what you're looking at now is a ComfyUI, which is one of the more popular shells that sits over AI generations. And I'm not gonna go into too much detail upon this, but we're gonna finish the video by actually creating a video in ComfyUI. So stay tuned for that. So anyway, right, let's first talk about online options. Okay, the image to video platform I found which had the best results, because I did an experimentation with various ones, was Kling. And this is actually Kling. I actually don't have a subscription anymore, but I still have some credits. But because I no longer have a subscription, it's basically limited the choices that I can do. It's very, very simple, really. All you can do is here's some of my earlier creations, and some of you on the channel might actually recognize some of these. For instance, I think this one here, if I just click on this, we go to this. Now you can see the prompt that I've entered in. When you're doing any image to video prompts in terms of the text that you want to kind of use to guide the AI to do its kind of neural net magic, is to briefly describe what the picture is that it's going to start with. Okay, I don't know, not yet. Don't go yet. So in this case, so we can see that the starting image is as two young women are in ball gowns. One is redhead, she's out of focus and looking at a different camera, while the far girl is in focus, a brunette, and you're describing the hair and perhaps their eye colors, whether they're male or female, how many figures there are, and so on and so on. So the redhead then turns to look at the camera as the focus of the lens moves to her, but keeping both girls in frame. So it's quite a detailed prompt here. You can go crazy with prompts, but if you have too much in the prompt, it can just overload the AI and confuse it. So you want to try to keep the prompts as brief as possible. Whether you use natural language or not, I haven't really found any difference necessarily on that, but it depends entirely on the circumstance. Okay. So the brunette likewise then looks at the camera, neither smile at any time. It is a quiet, soft, emotional moment. Okay, so what happened when I did that? So she laughs, she then hides away. Joni doesn't even look. This is Joni and Natalie, by the way, those of you familiar with my characters. So this is kind of the fun and the frustration of AI video, in that you don't always know what random neural net paths are going to be taken in order to actually get that scene. Let's have another iteration here. I think it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same prompt, as far as I know, and you can see it's going to done a different result. And they're not behaving. They're not doing what this. So the redhead then turns to look at the camera. Well, she didn't, did she? So, what about this one? Same prompt. What is happening there is mental, isn't it? All right, so here's another one here. The two are the same characters. This should be a simpler one here because I've got a much simpler prompt. And that actually works. Maybe it's because my other prompt was too complicated. So two young women in ball gowns looking at the camera. They briefly turn to look at each other before returning their gaze to the camera and smiling slightly. No wide smiles. And what do? They smile widely. Again, this is... So they didn't fully comply with the prompt. So this is a concept of prompt compliance. Okay. There's a certain limit that you can impose on here. This is the kind of compliance here. So if you were forcing it to be absolutely just do exactly what I say in the prompt, you can force it to do that, but then it gives you warnings about that. And we're going to cover that. We might cover it in this video, certainly, if not this video, in the next video, about what compliance is. Okay, or you can have it just to say AI do whatever you want and just completely ignore my prompt. Then you kind of set it in the middle, usually. Okay, but anyway, that's a big discussion. So it's a nice video, and that one actually did go on my website, I think, and then it came through really quite nicely. Here's another one here. So here again I describe the actual scene. A green-eyed redhead girl with long straight hair is looking into the camera while holding her hands on her tummy. She smiles only slightly and briefly. She doesn't, she actually smiles widely in the end. She seems self-assured and confident and relaxed. So this is interesting, getting into subjective prompts, you know, whether they actually go, for instance, she seems self-assured and confident. Is the AI really going to actually listen to you? I don't know. I mean, the only way to do it is to actually run it without that and see if there was a difference. But then you get the random element of each AI generation that comes through. This is something I put on all my videos, I think. Prompts was maintain character consistency as highest priority. Whether it actually followed that or not in terms of whether it listened, but certainly it did. She maintained her character, so she stayed as Joni throughout. So it didn't mess with her eyes or nose or mouth and change the character of who she is. Okay. So anyway, so these were all done a few months ago. Most of these before I started to get into other ways of doing it. So let's have another look. We'll look at one last one here. Some of you have already seen these videos, and some of you may have not seen these videos, because this one here, actually no, I don't think I did publish this one. So here's Kayla, and she was actually the subject, as you may recall, from my when I did about a 2-hour video of setting up that whole scene of her in the capsule hotel in Tokyo. Okay, so the young woman in a pink t-shirt and blue jeans is carrying a large brown bag on her right shoulder. So here I'm describing what the video, what the image is, so the AI can actually then try to work with that. She is standing in front of a storage locker, and I said storage locker, it's actually a capsule hotel, but I figured it wouldn't know what a capsule hotel was, so I just say storage locker. She's lifting up the roller door with her left hand. The roller door lifts up quite quickly as she smiles. Well, as you can see, it's kind of gone terribly wrong here, because she's completely refused to lift up the storage locker door, and her arm is actually doing something and her hand is doing something which is almost impossible. It's actually completely turned around. One thing that you may know about with AIs is that they still struggle with human hands, and I don't know why that is the case, but hands and fingers are just, nobody's managed to solve that Gordian knot yet. Basically, nobody's managed to crack that one open, and so this is an area of frustration that you will have to deal with, in that despite putting in negative prompts saying, you know, don't miss out fingers, or don't add fingers to, you know, create 6 fingers instead of 4 or something like that. But yeah, this is something you'll definitely run into a lot. Let's have a look at, there's one of Kira here. I don't think I did publish this one. So here again, describe the scene. A brown-eyed redhead young woman in a chartreuse, that's a green cocktail dress, crown braided hair, is looking at the camera. She tilts her head up slightly. She smiles only slightly, not a big smile. That time, Kling actually got the smile pretty good. She didn't do a wide open smile. She's a little shy and nervous. It's definitely caught that. It definitely caught that on this one, because she's, you know, she's not looking up at you boldly. Okay, so that actually does show in that case that she is a little shy and nervous in the prompt, and it actually did follow it. Okay, here's one from the same scene. This is Abby. Now she says, well, so again we do the description. The blue grey-eyed young woman with dark bob hairstyle, black low-cut cocktail dress, is looking into the camera. She smiles only slightly and briefly. She does that. She turns her body to her right by 90 degrees. She does that, while her head adjusts position naturally. She occasionally blinks. She did that too. She seems self-assured and confident and relaxed, and she does. So that was almost perfect. The only thing was that it did slightly alter her look, even though I said maintain character consistency as highest priority. So she didn't quite look like Abby at the end. Now you might not notice that, but I know my characters very, very well, and that wasn't quite her face at the end. It kind of got widened and fattened a little bit. But other than that, the prompt was followed very nicely. Okay. So we'll do one last one while we're on Kling, and this is again a scene from this ongoing set that I'm working on, Girlfriend's Revenge. Okay, so here we have two young women seated in the back of a limousine which is passing through a nighttime city street. They have just had an argument and don't want to look at each other. That's not true. They had an argument because they found out that their girlfriends were seeing somebody else. So, but I didn't want to get into the whole backstory, so I tried to kind of create something that would make them look annoyed. The atmosphere is tense and also sad, maintain character consistency. So it's done something a little bit weird with them in this case, but nonetheless you can see that it looks a pretty convincing scene where you got the car that's moving through the city and so forth, even though you know their expressions are a little bit odd. Okay, so what so that was one. These are ones I made earlier. Okay. And see, this I've been quite busy. This one actually worked out quite nice, although Abby ended up not looking like Abby when she smiled. She looked like somebody different. Two young women sat at a blue sofa in a bar behind a table of bowls and glasses. Camera zooms in on them. Well, it didn't. It actually did a cut and then moved directly to a new lens, like a telephoto lens. As they smile to the camera, they are relaxed, enjoying each other's company. All right, I could go on and on with these, and you can get carried away. Let's go to one I actually created earlier, just literally for this video. Okay, now this is a little slightly sensuous, this one, so just hopefully the Google filters won't get triggered, the YouTube figures. Two young women, very simple prompt. Two young women are seated in a nightclub, looking at each other intensely. The shared look soon turns to passion as they kiss each other tenderly. Well, they do something strange with their mouths, to be honest. Let's just zoom in on this so we can actually see this a bit bigger. Okay, so there's something going on with their mouths and their lips before they actually do it. But they actually kind of complied with the prompt and they had a quick kiss. Okay, this is Kling AI 1.6, which is not the new version. But what I managed to do was get the new version, because I don't have a subscription. I managed to get a new version on Freepik. Now Freepik is a compendium of different ones, and you can see here that you can choose from Kling, and I can actually get the latest version of Kling here, which just came out this week. You can see that Kling 1.6 was the one I was just using. You've got Hun, I don't know how to say that, Hunyuan. Seems to be a very popular one. That's actually also an open source one, so you could actually also use that on your own local installation. And you've got Minimax, Runway. These have been going quite some time, these two, and they all have different styles and different gotchas and different strengths and weaknesses. Okay, but again, when I did some research, I found that Kling was the best, and Kling have just done it again by releasing a brand new major version just this week, and I've only actually done one video on it, and we'll talk about that now. Okay, but anyway, so but yeah, with Freepik, you can pay for a subscription which just gives you credits. So I've got tons of credits here, and it shows you how you can use your credits with all these different models. Okay, so some of these models are closed source proprietary models which you cannot get access to. Hunyuan is open source, but for some reason it's also on this site and you can pay for it. I guess you're just paying for the video generation properties there. Okay, again, see, these are all image to videos, so it's all basically generate video with a starting image. Sometimes some of them allow you to do start and end images, so you can effectively have a kind of keyframe instead of just keyframes, you know, start and end keyframes for your animation. I have found those to be of limited use. I haven't had good results with them. The best results I've had was with the starting image, and then you can feed in. Let's actually just go and do that Kling one again. So here we've got Kling. Here's the one I did earlier. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Okay, it's exactly the same quote, and it's a little bit raw. It's a little bit raucous, this one. So just if you like that sort of thing, maybe it was inappropriate material for this, but for this YouTube video. But certainly it actually did a really remarkably good job, I have to say. This is the brand new version of Kling, and you can see how lifelike and realistic that is. even if it is slightly hot under the collar in terms of its content. And it was a very simple prompt, really, just the same prompt as the one I did with the other. Okay, so that's Kling 2. You can certainly you could do that today. You can just, after watching this video, you could go onto Kling, you could go onto Freepik or Kling itself, buy a subscription, put in a prompt, and off you go. It's that simple, and that is the big upside to basically doing it with one of these online service providers. Okay, so as mentioned, those are restricted in terms of the content that you can create. It has to be family friendly, although that was pushing the boundary, I think, what we just saw there. If you wanted to do anything uncensored, anything that is not safe for work, anything like that, it's gonna reject it. So if you want to base, and also you have to pay monthly costs and for just a subscription, as well as per video generation, it's going to cost you those credits, and you can very quickly find that you're running out of money, and it can get very expensive. So you get super careful about what you do want to generate, and it just feels like you're penny pinching. Okay, so instead of doing that, you want to push it to the next level, you can create your own AI video pipeline, either on your own local on your home PC, or using a distributed platform such as RunPod. Now, I have not used RunPod, but I know a lot of people that do use it, and RunPod is just one of a number of different hosting services that you can use. Okay, because you need a powerful PC, and you need to do image to video. Text to image is relatively light in terms of resources. So you can do a stable diffusion, for instance. It's most popular, like a standard for doing AI imagery. You can do a stable diffusion instance on your PC with a relatively modest setup in terms of system RAM, GPU, that kind of stuff. If you want to do image to video as a Daz Studio artist that wants to kind of create images from videos from your Daz Studio images, it's going to need more power. These the image to video AIs need a lot of power, need a lot of grunt to actually solve that image and combine that image with the prompt that you're giving it. So if you don't have a 4090 or a 5090, GPU, NVIDIA GPU, and tons of system RAM, not tons of system RAM, you just need, the main thing is you just need a really high-powered GPU to do this. Okay, if you don't have that, then you can look into RunPod or some equivalent to RunPod. Okay, so let's go to an actual local install. So this is how we started. I had this on my background when we started out. So this is a front end, if you like, ComfyUI. Okay, this one of about 3 that are highly regarded and popular. One is automatic 1111. I don't know how you said it right. It's automatic 4 ones. And you've got Swarm UI and you've got ComfyUI. Okay, what these do, they're simply front ends that are over the top of a command line, whether it's in Windows or Linux, whatever you're using. They're just basically running command lines. Okay, I mean, this, for instance, here, this is a whole workflow, image to video workflow. It's a fairly standard one. And I'll go over the basics of it in a moment, but there is a lot to kind of unpack here, and I think I'm probably going to break up the details of this into a new video after this one. This is an introduction. Okay, this will basically render down to a JSON file, which is simply a code of a structured code of objects that basically are instructions that then go into the command line AI prompt, the AI generator, which is written in Python, and you can get your head stuck into Python code and send yourself crazy. But essentially all it is, and I'll show you. So if I just drag this over here, this is basically a command prompt which is doing everything and you can see I just ran a video here. For instance, let's just go to the top of this. So this is actually run from a batch file, and it just is starting up ComfyUI. It's found my GPU here, and then it's running this thing called PyTorch, which is the main AI engine. It's like PyTorch has been around since I think about the early 2010s. It's been the foundation for pretty much all neural nets and stuff like that since. And then it basically gets into your startup sequence. Then it will, because when I was clicking this run button earlier to actually create this video, you then watch this going off in the background, and it basically does its thing. So say this, just move that out of the way. So this is essentially, it's just a shell on top of a command line to help you visualize and set up your image to video generation. So okay, what is going on here at a super high level? What you've got on the top left here, you've got your models, okay, and in here you see that we've got one called Wan. Scrolling a bit here. This is Wan 2.1. Okay, this is, I consider, well, most consider that this is the best image to video generation out there in terms of compliance of prompts, following prompts, and just overall quality of action. Okay, there are others like Hunyuan and Flux as well. So there are choices, but the model that we're using for this one is Wan, and this is the one I'm using almost all the time. And you've got these other things such as and how the clip, which is the prompt is going to be interpreted, and that's a standard model there. You don't ever have to change these. I won't get into what a VAE is, it's far too technical. As is a clip vision, which relates to the image, source image, and the source image is selected here. So this is one of my images that I created in Daz, and I'm going to use that to feed into the AI, so it goes through this thing, that clip vision, that interprets that in combination with the prompt. And here's the prompt here: 2 women. This is exactly the same prompt as I used on the Kling video. 2 women are seated in a nightclub looking at each other intensely. Shared look turns to passion as they kiss each other tenderly. And then you've got negative prompts. These are often very standard ones, but sometimes if you start to see artifacts that you really don't want, you can try to say, put those in. Like I had one deformed navel because it was producing sticky out. You got innie and outie navels, but this was like a proper outie, and it was just like, it was weird. So I must have done that as a response to that. So you've got the models and the basic the real hardcore AI stuff here on the left that basically gets everything going. You've got your image, you've got your prompt. You've got some other things which I won't get into, which relate to attention, which is an AI concept of where it needs to actually address areas of importance so it can get through the flow satisfactorily. You've got caching mechanisms here. This is actually, believe it or not, this is actually quite a simple workflow. I've seen some workflows which will just melt your brain. And then here are the two key ones here. This is where Wan image to video brings together. I say this is the Wan. It's actually made by Alibaba, and it's an open source image to video as well as text to video, and text to image. You can do that as well with Wan, but its main strength is image to video. And here we set the width and height and the length in frames. So it'll be 53 frames, and it's going to be a 16. It's a standard frame rate of 16 FPS. Okay, so that equates to about 3 seconds of video, which is not very long. But it's going to get longer as these things develop. Okay, so it's still early days. Now you think, okay, well, why you made it so tiny? I mean, the source image here is 2160, which is 4K. Why have you made it 1024? It's because these models, and you'll see here that there's a clue here in the model of this one video when it's 720p. It actually would prefer me to actually run at 720, but for the vertical and the horizontal, or 720 by 1280 if you're going to do a portrait. Now, actually, what I should have done really is in Photoshop, I should set that image to match exactly that, Although I found that it doesn't make a big difference. Sometimes it might make a difference. But anyway, that's getting into the technicalities. Let's try to keep it simple and keep to the overview. So that's our actual thing that's going to set up the matrix, so set up these tensors as like as a whole multi-dimensional matrices that AIs use to actually process that. And then we've got the sampler, which is the actual engine, and that goes and then does its thing. Now you remember I talked earlier about on the Kling video about compliance and following either following the prompt closely or not very much at all, between creative and relevant. So here you have this number here, which basically determines how, as it says, higher values result in images more closely matching the prompt. However, too high values will negatively impact quality. Here you can set anything between 5 and 8, but I'm going to cover these in a separate video about getting into these. And the steps is the number of simply the number of steps that the AI will run through. Anything between 30 and 50 is usually fine for video. Sometimes you can go as low as 20. Okay, and then you've got these other things like sampler name and schedule. I'm not going to get into those as it's far too technical. So what came out of this? Okay, what came out of this was this video. Okay, and let's just bring that video up. So you can see that the prompt hasn't really been followed. So the prompt was, 2 young women are seated in a nightclub looking at each other intensely. Their shared look turns to passion as they kiss each other tenderly. Well, they didn't, did they? And I think the reason why they didn't was because I had my CFG too low, my configuration, my compliance, it's actually called classifier free guidance. My classifier free guidance wasn't enough at 5. So I'm going to rerun this. I'm going to rerun this now, and we can watch it actually as it's doing its thing. In terms of the command prompt, so you can see that I'm not faking any of this, and we'll actually turn this preview on. You'll see it when it finishes the frames. You've got a preview of all the different frames. So here we've got 53 frames that come through. So we're gonna change the CFG to 8. So in that we're gonna say follow this prompt more closely, because we actually do want them to kiss. Okay, well, I hope you do. Okay, right, so let me just drag in the command prompt, and let's just kick this baby. Let's kick this baby off. All right, so while this is mid-run, I just wanted to show you the how demanding image to video is. So here I'm running my brand spanking new GTX 5090, NVIDIA 5090. I won't tell you how much it cost. It's eye-watering in terms of how much that video card was. You can see here it's using almost all the video RAM. Okay, so 32 gigs of VRAM have come with this card, and you need everything you can get. The reason why I've set the length to 53 was because if I went to say 65 or maybe 70, then it'll push that VRAM over the limit, and then it just crawls. It's very, very slow then, because VRAM is like 100 times faster than system RAM. Yeah, so this is just the progress here, and it shows you a number of iterations, number of seconds per iteration. So we've got 30 steps. We've got 30 steps in there, so it's running through the 30 steps, and it's getting on with it because it's a very high-powered card. One video 2.1 720p model is an absolute beast in terms of its demand on your system, but quality is just really excellent. Okay, there is a 480p model that you can use, which is not as demanding on RAM, and the text to video models are much less. But image to video is where we're at, and we want the highest quality we can get. So hence the insane amount of VRAM required. Okay, so that took about 10 minutes, and that's actually that's pretty much the standard for video length here. So it shows 591 seconds, but obviously you've got a bit of beginning and end stuff of pre and post processing. Cut to the chase, let's have a look and see what that video has come out like. Has that increase in compliance made them actually do the thing which we asked them to do, which was give each other a nice kiss? That looks like compliance to me. They did it. And actually it's really quite nice. That's a nice little brief kiss. It wasn't like the insane over-the-top one that Kling gave them, where they really kind of went for it. A first kiss would be more appropriate. Hesitant one the way they did it there. Good. Okay, so that's a nice result. What we could probably do is make a few more generations, and that's what you tend to do. You maybe make 3, 4, sometimes even 5 generations, just to see how the random aspect of AI video generation comes out at, and you can get some interesting results. And half the time it's just awful and you have to throw it away, but that's part of what it is. Imagine trying to do that in Blender or Daz Studio's inbuilt animation. It would take you probably, even if you were skilled and knew what you were doing, it would probably take the best part of a day to actually set it up, and probably another day to actually render each frame, because it has to then ray trace each frame. But we just did it in 10 minutes. Okay, now obviously you're starting with a decent source image. But you're basically leveraging the power of AI to do all the heavy lifting for you. So you're not having to do all this intricate, frustrating work relating to keyframes and moving poses and things like that. And you actually, and because it's trained upon video of real humans doing real things. You're looking at, I think the training set is about 14 billion. That one video 2.1 720p is got 14 billion parameters, and the actual size of the file is about 16 gigabytes. It's colossal. So basically in that training data is thousands and thousands of videos of humans doing things, and some of those videos are of humans kissing. That's why it looks so real, and that's why it's so convincing. Try to do that as a handcraft that using Daz keyframes, and you're not going to. This might be controversial to say this, but I just don't believe you're going to get that level of human realism, because you're having to actually think of what people do with their lips, for instance, when they kiss, or when what their eyes do. Just let the AI take all that training data and do the hard work for you. And I still believe it is a genuine art form, because, well, you're creating the original image in Daz, and you're crafting and shaping the action with the prompts. Okay, so one last thing to do with this video is some bit of post-processing, and we'll do that. I won't go into the details of that, but we're just going to simply do some frame interpolation to bring it up to 60 frames per second, and also we can do some upscaling, because I say it was set at 1024 by 1024, which is barely HD, and certainly isn't 4K, but we can upscale that to 4K with some other magic, which we're doing ComfyUI in another video. But anyway, here is the final form, 60 frames per second, and glorious 4K. And you saw it as I made it live, essentially. Okay, very nice result. Okay, so at this point you're saying, gimme, I want this. How do I do this? Right. It takes a while, and it takes a lot of work and some grunt, and so you have to be ready for a bit of a slog to actually get this set up. Okay. However, I found that after many rabbit holes that I went down, including going to a GitHub page saying I couldn't get this Python library to install, one guy helpfully said, go and check out Dr. Furkan's SE courses page, okay? And it will basically just make it so much easier for you. So Dr. Furkan is he's a opinion leader. He's an influencer in the AI video space, in the overall AI image video space. He has put together, he's got some videos which you can watch, but more importantly, he has a Patreon page and I'm not being sponsored by him. He probably doesn't even know who I am. I'm not getting any kind of links or affiliation to him. He just basically he has one-click installers on his Patreon page to enable you to get your whole setup going. Essentially, if you're on Windows or if you're on Linux and you want to set up ComfyUI with Wan or something like that, he has one-click installers that basically just guide you through that. And if you ever have any problems with them, you know, if you're a Patreon supporter of his, then he will basically answer you, okay, and help you get set up. It makes a massive difference. I say I lost about 3 weekends of just absolute insanity to get to I actually gained a lot of understanding as I was going through that process. So in the end, when I did find one of his one-click installers, and I was able to just tweak it a little bit so I could, because there was some slight issues with it for my system. Once I'd got it running, I then had my ComfyUI set up, all going, and it just worked like a dream. Okay, so definitely go check out SE courses, and if you really did want to save yourself some time, just spend $7 or $8, you know, on getting a subscription to his Patreon, and do one of his one-click installers. I realize that this is not a complete answer, because honestly I can't give you a complete answer, because everybody's going to have different requirements, different systems, and they've got different hardware. Okay, so I'm not going to duplicate the efforts of others in telling you how to actually get your setup going on your local PC, and I certainly can't help you with RunPod or any distributed thing because I've never used them. But this was really just an intro video for targeted towards Daz Studio artists who wanted to basically create image to video, and I hope that it has helped. Certainly give a perspective, introductory perspective on that. So if you found the video useful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, then smash that subscribe button. If you want to follow me on DeviantArt, there's some Generation 3DX on DeviantArt. I'm now also on Civid AI, and you can find some my additional videos on Civid AI too. Okay, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.